Okay, today we're going to talk a little bit about 3D printing, and it's been on the news a lot lately, so we're going to go out to the store and take a look at some of the applications and actually files you can download to help you investigate 3D printing. So out to the store we go. Simply do a search for 3D, and here's the first thing you see is this, you don't recognize it, but that's Microsoft's application they just released. So let's take a look at that. We're going to go ahead and examine here. Look down here, and you'll see that it's from Microsoft. And we're going to go ahead and say install. So after we look at that, we're going to go back and installing it right now. But we're going to go back and look at some other things to look at. There's other ones that are related. Right down here, you'll see on the left 3D printer designs. And these are design files that from Spiveyworks. And we can go ahead and install those. Now, these are all in a standard format that all 3D printing programs are supposed to adhere to. Uh, so you'll be able to do other apps well that do this. But you can find some interesting designs. But this will get you started. So after that, let's go ahead and look at one more program. Let me go find the 3D printing and search for that. And there it is, MakeBot Thingiverse. We're going to go ahead and download that as well, which is a design community, they say, but basically it's some designs you can download, and you see some of them previewed here. So those are the three we're going to install right now. I went ahead and downloaded them and put them on my start screen over here, but you can put them wherever you want. But let's go take a look at the Microsoft one first. Visual 3D Builder, very simple design interface here. Now you can sit there and see some of the objects. You can load an object. You can actually scan them. If you have a Connect for PC, not to Connect for Xbox, but for PC installed, you can buy that separately. You can go ahead and scan that way. We're not going to do that today. You see some of the designs are like the old wooden railroads and all that. Household objects, dice, other things here that you can install as well. There's some generic objects that you can do and make like a trophy kind of thing or whatever and use those. So I was looking around and I found all these household items, but then I noticed there's also ones for phone stands. Well, being that I have a Nokia 928, which is now going to be called the Lumia 928 with Microsoft's acquisition of them, I decided, what the heck, let's take a look at the 928 stand. And boom, it comes up, and there you have it. We have this editing controls over here, and we have it. You can look around, drag around anywhere in the environment, and take a look at the object that's already created. Now, with this interface over here, we need to talk about the one on the right here, where you can click, and it brings up the interface. Now, I'm going to close that for a second, but let's go back over here, and you'll notice that this is the object mode, and over here is the file mode. For example, the manager to bring up files and stuff down here. Add new layers, do that kind of thing. So you're outside the environment. You have that mode there. And you have the edit mode here, which allows you to edit your object. Now we're going to talk about that for a minute. You can do things like smooth. You can do things like simplify. Here's the color one. And the parse cut. There's different cuts and emboss and all that. Let's take a look at emboss real quick. So you notice it put a standard ABC here to work with. So what I'm going to do is, in order to edit that, I'm going to click on the A here. And I'm going to put in something different here. I'm going to put in some text that I want to have embossed directly on the stand when I print it or I send it out to a printer. I want to get that. So there's OGG phone. Boom. There it is. It's now set up on the front of the object. And I can play around with it. Now I'm going to rotate it here. And just to see about how to control that. And if I grab the arrow and I rotate it, now of course some of it's off the thing, so it's not going to be able to work that way. But you're going to see there's a neat way to fix that in case you get something wrong. So I'm going to put in the back the dimensions of 0.0, so let's make sure it's put back exactly where it's at. And so now if I want to do this, I want to move it somewhere else. I can just click on that. And I can change the font size too. So let's say I want it bigger. I want a more demonstrative old guy geek phone or there. So I just go ahead and click on it and it becomes that size and I start moving it around. So there it is. It's on the front there and I can do different things with that, but I can also cancel and I can say, I can back up in case I make a mistake. But I can, I can select other objects. But let's go ahead and just say OK. Now you notice it says here, they are invalidly defined. So click here to fix. So it'll go out and actually repair that for you because it found out it wasn't sitting on the surface correctly. So I give it permission to access the repair application from them. And Now it's going to go out there and say, okay, let's see. Now you notice the red border at the bottom. It says it's not sitting right. It's all it is that I don't have it on the surface correctly. And in a few minutes, boom, it's done. It's positioned correctly. So if we go take a look at it, it's perfectly fine. Now you have other editing controls here where you can move things around besides the different cuts and all that. Let's look at color for a second. And you can see you can choose different colors for it. Uh, and you can actually send it out to the printer with that color defined. Now, once you get out there, you can sit there and change it whatever you want and everything. I'm going to leave it at the gray. Well, I might change it back to the blue, but the point of it is that you can play with these controls, different modes. You select here first, and then you select the mode you're going to be working with. So if I select edit, whatever, so and I can change the colors and do all that kind of stuff. But you can also position it in your environment. Now, if you look here, this is a view where you can rotate the entire environment so you can inspect it from all angles. Uh, the object you're creating, working with, to make sure that everything's perfect. Because remember, once you go to print, it's not like a piece of paper. Once you print, you're committing to printing this object out. So you want to make sure everything's correct. Now you notice here, I can move it within the environment. Let's say you had 2 or 3 objects here and you wanted it all interrelated. And we're actually going to fix that a little bit later. We're going to demonstrate a little bit later when I do a hard drive for an old Atari system. So let's take a look at sizing now. If you click on the edit mode here, you'll notice that I can make it different sizes, length, width, and depth. Of course, that'd be a big phone, so of course we want back down to where it was. But it's already been measured by the person that designed this to be the size of the phone, so we want to leave it that way. But that's how you would change the size of an object. So after that, if we want to go back and we want to save it, we can save it with a different name or discard it, of course. But that's what you would do. You would save a custom object with your own name and everything. So since we have this saved and everything, we can go ahead and look at it one more time. But we're going to go ahead and print it. So let's say we want to, we can go ahead and say, I want to make sure that this is the 928 doc. It doesn't make a difference here what it says, but I want to go ahead and print it. If I don't have a printer, I can go ahead and send it to somebody that does. So I'm going to say continue here, and it's going to print service, but it gives me an error. It's not a very friendly error, but basically it is that I'm not registered at Cubify. So we're going to go out here, and there's Cubify. I did a search for it, and sure enough, there's the website. So I'm going to go out here, and I'm going to sign up and put in your username and password and all that good kind of stuff that you normally do at a website that you want to register at. So once I fill this all in, I'm logged in. Okay, I'm in my site. You don't really have to be logged in because it's going to go ahead and connect up here through the application, and we're going to go ahead and do the same exact thing. We're going to say buy print, continue, and it's going to update it and it's going to say print service. So once it finishes contacting Cubify, which is linked to this program for printing services, you're going to find out that it's going to bring up their website. And it's going to give you some options for printing your object. And so here we are. It comes up to Cubify, and it says, please wait while we're processing your 3D creation. And basically, they're going to figure out what it costs. Now, here, it says different kinds of materials, and there's some regular stuff, and there's some AccuTough and colors and ceramics and frosting, even a clear one. If you notice here, okay, even the cheap one is $40 for a phone stand. That's why it's a little unique right now or a little pricey to go ahead and do stuff. And it takes 10 days to get here. And then there's all the way up to a clear version, which is sort of cool, for $130.60, which you can have that option. So basically, what we've done is we've gone out and looked at the types of options there. If it gets too expensive for you, you can always invest in a printer. Now, printers right now are very expensive, and I'm sure you can get other printers from other places. But let's take a look at their site and what they offer with printers. They have the Cube version, $999, all the way up to a $5,000 printer. And by the way, it tells you that there are the different features, like the print sizes for the Cube is only 6x6x6. Okay, and other ones are larger and all that. And it tells you what kind of materials it is, ABS plastic or whatever. So you want to take a look and compare that. So now let's look at the other program that I loaded up, which is a bunch of designs. It's called 3D Printer Designs. So we go ahead and then bring it up, and you see there's a bunch of designs at the bottom, and we can scroll around and take a look at those. We can look at the clothespin, for example, over here, and it's free. And you can have it download it, and then you can print it up, and you can have your own very own self-made clothespin. But let's scroll through this a little bit. There's some cool stuff here: alien fighter craft, playable guitar without supports, different kinds of things here that you can look at. And they have ratings here and prices and all that. Low polygon Halloween mask, not so crazy. They even have Groot from Guardians of the Galaxy sculpture. Lego compatible bricks and things like that. Some award things here, some statues kind of things. Looking at all that. All sorts of things. And they have different prices. Now here's one that's interesting, a scramjet. It's $3.99 and you can download that. And it's a Autodesk Fusion sculpted, and you can go ahead and download that. Zero downloads so far. If you visit the website, you can go out there and take a look at that. So we'll go out here, and there it is. Uh, the 3D print options, and you can set the pay per print design. So be aware that some of these may be you download one time, you can only print it one time. So you log on to purchase that particular one. Now, what's good about their site is they have a section here that tells you what kind of printers they support or their design support, which are probably the most popular ones right now. But again, you want to make sure that if you're printing yourself to your own printer, you want to make sure that you have the right printer that is compatible with their designs. So that's that one. So let's go back to the last thing I downloaded, and that was the uh, MakerBot Thingiverse. Okay. And this is also a collection of designs. You go out to their website and you can go out there and find all these different things to play around with. And, it's stuff that you might be interested in. You may not, but it depends upon. And I just noticed these little desktop replicas of old computers. I started out in the old Atari days, so it caught my eye. There's an old game console. There's an old Atari 400. I had an 800 at first. There's even the Altair 8800. There's all sorts of things out here. So you can download and play with it. So let's go. We're going to choose a simple one. I had an XL at one time as well. So we're going to go ahead and take a look at that one to play with it. So let's go out to their website, and it comes up, and there it is. And there it is. Download this thing. Now what it does is that there's all these files are included in the zip file. You can download the individual piece, or you just download all the file here. So we're going to go ahead and just download the file. And what it does is download the zip file to your hard drive. You unzip it like normal, click on it to load it up, and it brings it up in the Microsoft application. So we're going to go ahead and take a look at how to play with this a little bit. If I sit there and say add file, you notice that, let me go here and change it to the downloads, and there's a directory I unpacked with all the different files in it. And if I say disk body, which is what we're already showing, there's actually two disk bodies here. You can't see it, but they're exactly the same space in the space. But now in the window on the left, you'll see that those are the two different spaces that it occupies. So I'm going to go back to the file mode again. I'm going to go add up one more item. So I'm going to say add another item here to do it. I'm going to add from file, but I'm going to go get the front of the disk drive that they've created for us. And it's very easy to see where it's occupying the space. But there you have it, the three areas that you're working with right there. Now, if I highlight them, these two areas, and I just press the delete, I can get rid of those two areas, and we're back to just the one piece. But that was just to demonstrate that functionality. So I'm going to go back to the file thing again, add back in. I'm going to go ahead and add the disk space back in. And we're going to say open. And there it is. Now, in order to manipulate it, okay, we're going to go back to the controls. We're going to see it's here. We're going to go ahead and start moving that around. So we're going to go ahead and grab a hold of that, and we're going to drag it using the controls that are highlighted because I'm in the mode to move the stuff in the environment. And I'm going to move it over here and get it pretty close aligned and play with the controls up and down. Now I want to go ahead and to get a better view of what's going on, so I click off to the side. Let me scroll back out a little bit using my mouse to scroll. And there's my hard drive there. So I can sit there and now position it using other controls. So let's move this down into position, close to the position. And we're going to go ahead and move over here. Now this will actually snap into place here pretty quick. You watch. boom, it snapped into place. So it's pretty easy to get lined up correctly. And of course, you have to check all of them. So I'm going to take the vertical and boom, oop, and boom. There we go. And there we have it. Oh, no, we don't. So we're going to use the other control and move it into the third dimension. And boom, it's lined up perfectly with the body. So here we are. We're ready to print. We have everything we need here to go ahead and do that. So I can save this. So that let me go ahead and save this as instead of this body, which because now it's a combined item. We're going to say disk. Well, we'll say disk drive assembled here and say OK. So now I have it to work on in the future. So there you have it. That's how you work with an existing object. You can start from scratch, of course, with some of those objects, but that's how you get your objects and manipulate them. So a quick look at 3D printing in Windows 8.1. It looks like it's a fun yet expensive thing to do right now, but you'll be able to sit there and play with it a little bit and get familiar with it. And when you're ready and when prices come down a little bit, you may actually be able to use it effectively to maybe make that next Christmas gift. Hey, for more great tips from Old Guy Geek, don't forget to subscribe. Share it with your friends on Facebook or Twitter. Take a look at our playlist, Windows 8 playlist, Windows Phone 8 playlist, and a general how-to, which is, of course, our latest feature video. And thanks for watching.